Are you ready to see the rappers who have clashed with the most feared man in hip-hop right now? Because today, we're going to be looking at the complete history of every Kendrick Lamar beef. Now, when it comes to Kendrick Lamar, from some of the most respected MCs of all time to some of the most popular, despite him being seen as one of the more unproblematic people in the rap world today, Kendrick has been in plenty of feuds where rappers have tried to snatch his crown, and as a result, he's came at them in full force for doing so. Whether he's ignited feuds to revive the competitive aspect of rap music that so many people say is missing nowadays, or he's defending his honor against his biggest rivals. Although Kendrick may keep such a low profile, when it comes to battling against his competition in the booth, Kendrick Lamar has never shied away from attacking his opponents lyrically. So if you're ready to see the rappers who have sworn against Kendrick and have tried to remove him from the high regard so much of the hip-hop world holds him in today, let's waste no time, and without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, before we can look at all the head-to-head feuds Kendrick has been in over the years, we need to look at the very moment that made Kendrick Lamar a target to so many people in the rap world, which was, of course, his now iconic feature on the Big Sean track Control. Now, with this 2013 record, Kendrick Lamar asserted himself as a rapper who was not here to play around, as he said that he is the king of both the East and West Coast, and of course, called out who he believed were the hottest rappers in the world at the time by name to let them know that while he may have love for everybody near the top, because this is hip-hop, he wants to destroy every single one of their careers. Now, while some rappers like Mac Miller made jokes about the verse, and it only drove somebody like Pusha T to go even harder in respect of Kendrick and everything that rap music stands for, some rappers who were called out became offended by Lamar's comments, and at the top of this list, almost nobody took this worse at the time than Big Sean. From washing Big Sean to calling him out by name on his own record. Although the Good Music signee didn't seem fazed by Control when it first came out, after leaving it off his album Hall of Fame that dropped just 2 weeks after because of sample clearance issues, people began to speculate that maybe after all, Sean did feel a way about Kendrick, and years later in 2015, he would finally begin to reveal his true thoughts about the song, as he said that there is a lot of negativity on it, and this was why it didn't make his album Hall of Fame. And from here, things would only heat up as Sean dropped his Me, Myself, and I freestyle, where he threw some jabs Kendrick's way. Now, although these lines were alluding to Kendrick's Control verse, Sean would try to back away from an all-out war with Kendrick by saying that it was aimed at his fans rather than Lamar himself, but after Kendrick and Sean appeared on DJ Khaled's track Holy Key together in the summer of 2016, when everybody heard Sean use a similar flow to Kendrick's from Control, this made it clear that while things may not be fully hostile between the two, on some level, Big Sean is still trying to get back at Kendrick, as he was trying to flip what he did on his head here. Now, while at this point, although Sean clearly still felt a way about Control, things didn't get fully sour between him and Kendrick until he released No More Interviews, which was an introspective cut that addressed so many issues that he had with different people in his life, and of course Kendrick caught a stray here. Now, with Sean's bars on this track, people looked at this as taking a full-on shot at Kendrick, as many around the time were deeming him the savior of hip-hop, and after continuing to talk about how Kendrick didn't watch him on Control again and again, Kendrick finally clapped back after years of subliminals on the song that served as the prelude to his fourth album, Damn, The Heart Part 4, as he told Sean to back off and that he's pretty much pathetic at this point for continuing to tiptoe around his name, and as the original version of the Damn track Element leaked. If there was any doubt that these bars weren't about Big Sean, it confirms that they were, as here he calls out Sean by name here, and while this bar would have been crazy if it had been released, when we look back at Damn 7 years after its release, having a diss that was so direct would have definitely dated the listening experience as a whole, so considering the fact that all Big Sean did was whine about Kendrick for years, and also nobody ever thought he was a serious threat to Lamar at any level, it makes sense that this never escalated further from here and today. Despite all the beef they had in the past, Kendrick and Sean are said to be on good terms, as on Big Sean's 2020 track Deep Reference, he said that after the passing of Nipsey Hussle, he reached out to Kendrick and they resolved any issues that they had. Now, while Big Sean had one of the most renowned beefs of Kendrick Lamar's career following his Control verse, the ramifications Kendrick faced from this one feature didn't stop here, as beyond many of the rappers who were called out responding, a lot of rappers who were not mentioned by name took even more offense as they felt disrespected by Kendrick, and while rappers like B.O.B., Papoose, Joe Budden, and Joel Ortiz came at Kendrick with diss records of their own that he never acknowledged. The most prominent rapper to call out Kendrick around around this time was the one and only Lupe Fiasco, and after Lupe responded to Kendrick because so many fans were pushing him to. While between the Chicago rapper's insane flow switches and him literally switching between languages while responding to Kendrick on this track definitely made it a great moment. Looking back on this cut, all it would do is spark a one-sided beef on Lupe's end where now for over 10 years, he has tried to discredit Kendrick's skills as a rapper all the way to the point where most recently, he said that Drake is a better MC than him. Now while Lupe Fiasco is one of the most skilled lyricists in all of hip-hop history, by constantly trying to diminish Kendrick's success, it's clear that this animosity Lupe has for him is derived from jealousy, as when you look at Lupe and Kendrick in their entirety, they're such similar artists, and the only main difference between them is that one has been able to retain their mainstream success for over a decade where the other has not. At this point in Lupe's career, everything he says about Kendrick just sounds so bitter and really feels like he's only saying it just to go against what everybody else thinks, and although this beef has been one-sided, with Kendrick Lamar showing recently that he is finally responding back in full force to many of the rappers who have attacked him subliminally over the years. Who knows, maybe after him and Drake's beef is done, we will finally see him settle the score with Lupe once and for all. Now, in a time where rappers are dissing their opponents for just about anything, the last thing you would want to have in a diss track about you is somebody saying that you smell awful, because as we have seen most recently with Kendrick Lamar, he can take any little flaw and turn it into a humiliating hit song. So to make sure Kendrick, or anybody for that matter, can't say that they hate the way you walk, talk, dress, and most importantly, smell, I've been using Scentbird to make sure that every time I go out, I feel my absolute best. Now, whether I'm going to a concert and want to smell fresh, so I use something like Yellowstone, which makes me feel so clean, or I'm trying to make the best first impression possible and stand out with Couleur Primaire, which will make you smell like fresh washed laundry, I have been able to be the best version of myself by finding the perfect colognes that embody the way I am trying to feel each time I step out of the door. Now, the reason why all of this has been so easy is because of Scentbird, whose vast range of fragrances help you find the best scents possible that won't just make you immune to getting dissed, but that will help you feel your very best by sending fragrances right to your door that come with a 30-day supply, so you will be able to fully experience the scents you're trying. Now, between Scentbird's diverse curated selection of fragrances and the fact that you can change them so seamlessly with every month, they truly make it so easy to find the smells that you want, as you can always change your fragrances, and by doing this, avoid the commitment and cost of owning full-size bottles that you don't actually use. Now, what makes all this better is the price, as you get to try your first fragrance from Scentbird for only $8, and your next month will only be $16.95. So if you're interested in trying Scentbird, use my code HIPHOP, or the link below to get 55% off, which is an amazing deal. So if you want to try Scentbird, use the code HIPHOP to get 55% off. And now, let's get back to looking at Kendrick Lamar's biggest haters. Now, right alongside Lupe Fiasco, another highly skilled rapper who dissed Kendrick following Control and all the hype he was getting was Jay Electronica, as he appeared alongside Kendrick and Sean on this track. But as Jay Electronica is known for taking years to do anything, he didn't come at Kendrick until 2016 or on a live stream. He said that he only likes one Kendrick song and that Lamar would tell you himself that he couldn't body him, and went on to say overall that Kendrick is his son and that Lamar wishes he could be him. And from here, Jay released a song about this moment titled The Curse of Mayweather, as he defended his claims and skill set and pretty much said that despite not dropping music often, he is like Floyd Mayweather because he can destroy anyone at any time. But not even a month later, Kendrick clapped back at Jay with his untitled Unmastered project with the 7th track, as after addressing the situation as a whole, he finished off Jay with the line, "I could never end a career if it never start." And since Jay never responded back to Kendrick, as since he didn't have a single album out in nearly a decade at this point, there was really nothing he could say to defend himself. It's safe to say that while Kendrick didn't destroy Jay by any means, he definitely got him to back off and never come at him like that again. Now, another short-lived beef in Kendrick's career that most people have forgot about today was him versus Meek Mill, who after the Control verse, took Kendrick calling him out as a shot of the highest degree and decided to release a diss aimed at Kendrick where he pretty much told him to stay as a backpack rapper and away from the street raps, as he is not built for the dangerous side of the hip-hop world. And in response, as Meek Mill tried to belittle Kendrick's credibility to even throw out shots at anyone, Kendrick told Meek Mill to not just back off, but he threatened him by saying that he is the king of hip-hop all the way out in New York City. And as Meek tried to say that Kendrick was scared to stick his chest out outside of the mic and talk the same way he did on Control, with Kendrick doing this in the rival city that he's from, he really shut down Meek, as he showed that while he may be renowned for his conscious thoughts, he is not afraid and will destroy any rapper who comes in his way. Now, out of all the beefs Kendrick has been involved with, the most hilarious one is without a doubt between him and French Montana, who initially came at Kendrick during a Breakfast Club interview where he was mad that the 2016 Grammys were pretty much all about awarding Kendrick Lamar and To Pimp a Butterfly, and he said that T-Pab as a whole was an album that was bad for hip-hop because it was taking attention away from street rap. Now, I'm not even gonna get into how horrible of a take this is from French Montana. And clearly Kendrick thought the same thing, as after dissing him in the same verse that he dissed Big Sean in on the original version of Element for dry hating, as he said. As Kendrick never released this version of the song, he most likely realized that to beef with a rapper as talentless as French Montana was just not worth his words, but maybe he should have, because in 2020, French would come out again and this time say that he had more hits than Kendrick. Now, while Kendrick was in isolation at this point writing his 2022 album Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, I'm not even sure if he knew that French said this, but what's most funny about this entire situation is that as French tried to defend his take over and over again, other rappers came to Kendrick's defense like Young Thug, who just came out and told French how wrong he was. Now, when it comes to the strangest feuds that Kendrick Lamar's name has ever been brought up in, while French Montana trying to come at him is just hysterical, there's nothing more odd than what happened between him and Macklemore, as although Macklemore respected Kendrick highly, he was pretty much placed as his biggest enemy in the eyes of the public, as at the Grammys, he took home the award for Best Rap Album with The Heist over Kendrick's Good Kid Mad City, and he would become the most disliked man in hip-hop for this, but after texting Kendrick and apologizing for winning the award would have made people think that there would be no animosity between them. As Macklemore posted his message thread with Kendrick for the entire world to see on social media, Kendrick would later go on to say that this wasn't cool to do and made the apology seem performative in a way, and while this is not even close to an all-out beef, it's safe to say that because of the way Macklemore handled winning a Grammy over Kendrick, Lamar does not have any respect for him. Now, looking at all these incidents and beefs that Kendrick has been in over the years, it's really wild to see just how much the rappers range in respect and skill level that have came at him, but out of all the beefs that have defined his career, one that we will be talking about for years to come is what happened recently with him and J. Cole. Now, with Kendrick and Cole, as these two have been the MCs who have been praised for keeping lyrical rap alive in the mainstream for over a decade at this point, they have been on the very top of the mountain in hip-hop for quite some time, and while they were once such good friends that Cole ended up defending Kendrick in a physical altercation, with who many are seeing now as the most evil man in hip-hop. As time has went on, they have seemed to drift apart all the way to the point where Cole went on an entire run between 2023 and 24 working with Kendrick's biggest rival Drake, and as Cole and Drizzy released an entire song about how well them and Kendrick are the big three of rap. Cole and Drake are the top two MCs of our time with the chart-topping first-person shooter. This seemingly lit a fire under Kendrick as he released his most aggressive verse in over a decade aimed at both Cole and Drake on Future and Metro Boomin's track Like That, as Kendrick declared that there is not even a big three of rap and that there's only one king who's himself. Cole and Drake were immediately put in an all-out beef with Lamar, and just 14 days after he threw out this insane verse to the world, Cole clapped back with his own diss in the track 7-Minute Drill, and while a lot of Cole's digs on Kendrick were super subjective and overall it seemed like his heart wasn't in it at all, it already was looking like Kendrick had the edge against the rapper who he has been compared to for over a decade, but making this beef even crazier, something in hip-hop happened like we had never seen before, as just 2 days after releasing his diss track, J. Cole apologized to Kendrick and said that he would be pulling 7-Minute Drill off streaming, despite this move being highly criticized at the time of him doing it. As we have seen a bigger battle take place between Kendrick and Drake that has gone in a direction that nobody could have predicted, Cole may have made a smart choice to not get in the middle of something where there is so much genuine hatred, and with it now being said that none other than close Kendrick Lamar collaborator Schoolboy Q advised Cole to get out of the beef while he can. As time has went on, things have only made more sense with this strange chapter in Cole's career, but beyond this short-lived beef, the feud that has defined Kendrick Lamar's career is him versus Drake, and after over a decade of subliminal disses, this beef has escalated into one of the biggest hip-hop feuds not just recently, but of all time, and we really can't be shocked when we see why the two biggest hip-hop artists of our generation despise each other, but it wasn't always like this, as Drake gave Kendrick his own interlude on Take Care, took him on his first arena tour, and made a guest appearance on Kendrick's Good Kid Mad City album. It seemed like these two would only continue to uplift each other as time went on for a while, but after Kendrick released Control and called out the top rappers at the time, in the long run, we have seen that Drake took this moment worse than even Big Sean did. And we really shouldn't be surprised, as on his album Nothing Was the Same, which dropped just a few weeks after the Control verse, he already had subliminal disses headed Kendrick's way, and from here, neither of them have backed down, as they have went at each other throughout the years time and time again. From defining moments like Kendrick's BET freestyle that called out Drake for being sensitive, to the array of shots that Drake kept throwing Kendrick's way throughout the mid-2010s. These two dissed each other on so many songs, albums, and features that it's hard to even keep count. And after every time it seemed like these two would finally stop sneak dissing each other and would just settle things out in an all-out clash. For the longest time, something, or in the case of Drake, another rapper got in the way of letting us see the battle of a lifetime in modern hip-hop. And after Drake was spotted attending Kendrick's Big Steppers tour in 2022, it seemed like maybe this feud was finally over, but as Drake began to instigate Kendrick as he made fun of rappers who take years to release new music both in songs and in concert rants, and then ultimately excluded him from the top 2 of the big 3 on first-person shooter, Kendrick finally grew sick of the over decades-long back and forth and called Drake out in a way more direct than he ever has on Like That, and from here, we have seen one of the most insane and competitive battles in hip-hop ever. Despite Drake kicking off his attack on Kendrick with a bang with the track Push-Ups, as he followed this song up with a record where he used fake versions of fellow West Coast artists Tupac and Snoop Dogg to taunt Kendrick and then tried to make him look pathetic by saying that he had nothing to say against Drake. Looking beyond this moment, it seemed like Drake struck a nerve with Kendrick as from here, Lamar played him masterfully as with every move in their feud. He's perfectly diffused and countered all of Drake's attacks, and this has made all of his have even more impact. Whether this was with Euphoria, which told Drake to not take this any further, otherwise things will go really bad for him, or with Meet the Grams, which stomped on the greatest attack Drake had in this feud with Family Matters. Kendrick hasn't just been able to defend himself against Drake by strategizing to be 10 steps ahead of him at all time, but he has done some serious damage to Drake's career as a whole, as after running with the idea that Drake has been an absolute creep to girls, calling him out for his immature acts, and even exposing that he may have a potential daughter in hiding, Kendrick has forever altered Drake's reputation by making him look worse than ever in the public, and with a track like Not Like Us destroying all of Drake's chart and streaming records and giving the world a hit song where now everyone is making fun of Drake in a way that has never been seen before. As this beef has continued, Kendrick Lamar has proved that he truly is the boogeyman of hip-hop because he won't just out-rap and out-strategize you, but he will beat you at your own games and make sure that the rest of your career is a living nightmare. So there you have it. There is the history of every Kendrick Lamar rap beef, and as you can see, no matter if it was a strange altercation or back and forth with a subliminal jab, or an all-out feud like the one we've seen with Drake, Kendrick Lamar is somebody that the more you anger him, the scarier it will get. So with that said, I have to ask you, do you think Kendrick Lamar is the most feared rapper in the game? I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Now, thank you to Scentbird for sponsoring this video, and remember to use my code HIPHOP for 55% off your first month. And if you want to see my ranking of all the diss tracks between Kendrick and Drake, and everyone else who hopped in their feud to see what songs truly did the most damage, check out the suggested video.